رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. قل رب زدني علما. قال الإمام النووي رحمه الله تبارك وتعالى ونفعنا بعلومه في الدارين. قال وعن أبي عمرو جرير بن عبد الله رضي الله عنه قال كنا في صدر النهار عند رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فجاءه قوم عراة مجتاب النمار أو العباء متقلد السيوف عامتهم بل كلهم من مضر، فتمعر وجه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لما رأى بهم من الفاقة، فدخل ثم خرج فأمر بلالا فأذن وقام ثم صلى ثم خطب فقال يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة إلى آخر الآية إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. والآية الأخرى التي في آخر الحشر يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد. تصدق الرجل من ديناره من درهمه من ثوبه من صاع بره من صاع تمره حتى قال ولو بشق تمرة، فجاء رجل من الأنصار بسرة كادت كفه تعجز عنها بل قد عجزت، ثم تتابع الناس حتى رأيت كومين من طعام وثياب، حتى رأيت وجه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يتحل كأنه مذهبة، فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من سن في الإسلام سنة حسنة فله أجرها وأجر من عمل بها بعده من غير أن ينقص من أجورهم من شيء، ومن سن في الإسلام سنة سيئة كان عليه وزرها وزر من عمل بها من بعده من غير أن ينقص من أوزارهم شيء. رواه Muslim. So a very wonderful hadith regarding who sets a good precedent and people follow him, so the great reward that he will be entitled to. At the same time, one who sets an evil precedent, the sin and the consequences that will be upon him as well. So in this hadith of Sayyidina Jarir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhu, Sahabi Jalil, very illustrious Sahabi, narrates that we were sitting in the mid of the day with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and a people came who were, they were nearly naked. I mean, they didn't have proper dress to wear, and what dress they did have was these woolen, and you can imagine in Arabia the heat and the sweat, and they had these very heavy, woolen gowns that they just sort of put a hole in the middle of it, and they had it sort of dangling, and so they were really in economical stress, to say the least. Okay? And they also had their swords with them, as was the tribal custom and necessity as well. So they were all from the tribe of Mudar, which is from probably the northern eastern areas. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he saw them and he saw the difficult times that they must be facing, so he was obviously affected, and you could see that effect in his face. And so he called for Bilal. Bilal called the adhan, then he offered his salat, and then he spoke to the people, and he related these two ayats which basically instruct towards adopting taqwa. Ayyuhan nas ittaqu rabbakum, fear your Lord who has created you from one nafs, from Adam alayhi salam and from his wife Hawa. And also the ayat in Surah Al-Hashr, Inna Allah kana ya alladhina amanu taqullah wal tandur nafsu ma qaddamat lighad. Fear Allah and adopt taqwa, and look, what are you presenting for yourself for your tomorrow in the akhirat. So somebody would give sadaqah or give charity from a dinar, a golden coin, somebody from a silver coin, somebody from a cloth that he might have, somebody from some of the the grains that they might have stored up in their house, whatever they had, somebody from their dates, even somebody had a half a date. And nothing is small if it's the intention is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then so Nabi Sallallahu mentioned, somebody did this. So he was actually giving them, encouragement to spend in the path of Allah whatever they could. So the first person who came was someone from the Ansar, and he had this bag of coins, And they were such a huge, you could hardly, hold them, you could hardly hold them in his hand. And so actually he initiated, he set a precedent of, very generous spending in the path of Allah, and so the people, followed suit. So he actually facilitated and sort of encouraged, and by his good example, people followed suit. So what happens? So everybody who was encouraged by him, he gets the reward for all of them without their reward being, detracted in the least. And so Jabir says, so I'm singing. Then all of a sudden, as the people were all, encouraged, we saw two huge piles of money and food and clothing and mashallah, right? Allahu Akbar. And so Nabi Sallallahu told this very famous hadith in this instance, in this context. Man sanna fil Islami sunnatan hasana. So who sets a precedent, who creates something which people follow, does some action or activity which people follow in Islam, which is acceptable by Islam and appreciated by Islam, obviously. So, and it's a good practice, so he gets the reward for that and for all those who follow suit, without detracting or reflecting or taking away from the reward of those people who do that themselves. And similarly, juxtaposed, who sets an evil precedent, an evil action, and people follow suit, so he will bear the brunt of his own action and the evil actions of all those who follow him, without detracting from the sin from those people as well. So not only we want to do righteous action and abstain from non-righteous action, but actually be means of facilitating. As one riwayat says, that may Allah make us mafatih al-khair, maghaliq al-shar. May Allah make us all keys of opening, the doors of righteousness, and make us locks on the doors of non-righteousness. Ameen thumma ameen wa akhir da'wana. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى اللهم وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين